Welcome to another episode of Elderview Talk Show. I'm Patricia Amish, your host. Today we're going to be talking about wills, planning, and estates. I'm here with Annamarie Gentile. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm just going to read a little bit of biography about Annamarie Gentile so you know a little background about her. Annamarie Gentile is an experienced litigator and the supervising partner of the personal injury, family law, and estate planning and elder law groups. Ms. Gentile provides over 25 years litigation experience to assist her clients. Prior to entering private practice in 1987, Ms. Gentile served as an assistant corporation counsel in the tort division of the New York City Law Department, where she defended the city against negligence claims. In her present role, she oversees the firm's elder law and estate planning group, as well as all aspects of the firm's litigation practice, where she brings her extensive experience in handling cases in all 5 boroughs of the city of New York, in the federal courts, and in the courts of New Jersey. Ms. Gentile is a magna cum laude graduate of the University of the State of New York at Albany and received her Juris Doctor from Brooklyn Law School, an extensive background. She was the recipient of the Order of the Barristers Award and the Moot Court Honor Society Award with distinction. She was admitted to practice law in courts of New York State in 1983, of New Jersey in 1986, and to the United States Supreme Court in 1988. Throughout her career, she has participated in numerous professional organizations, including the New York State Bar Association, the New Jersey State Bar Association, the New York State Trial Lawyers Association, the National Academy of Elder Law Attorneys, the Richmond County Bar Association, the Staten Island Women's Bar Association, and the Staten Island Trial Lawyers Association. She is also a Department of Veteran Affairs accredited attorney, allowing her to assist veterans and their families to obtain benefits to assist in paying for personal care at home or at assisted living facilities. Ms. Gentile offers frequent seminars to the public in her practice areas and currently serves on the Board of Directors of the Staten Island Chamber of Commerce Foundation Incorporated and the Board of Directors of the Community Agency for Senior Citizens. Again, welcome to the show, Annamarie.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Patricia.
You have a very extensive background.
Well, hopefully I'll be able to offer some information to your viewers tonight.
Yes, you will. Thank you. I'm just going to ask you a few questions for our viewers. Please define what a will is and what is an estate.
Sure. A will, which is also known as a last will and testament, is a legal document where a person puts forth who they would like to leave their assets to when they pass on. Okay. It also allows them to select who they would like to represent their estate, a person who they trust to be the executor of their estate. Okay. And the will carries forth these things so that whatever wishes the person had will be carried out once they pass on, as opposed to having that determined by the state that they live in when they die.
Oh, wow.
Now, an estate is what a person owns at the time they die. It's every asset that they have an ownership interest in. So that could include real estate, it can include cash, it could include bank accounts or brokerage accounts. Personal items, we call it tangible personal property, things like furnishings in the house or jewelry, things of that nature. So everything that a person has an ownership interest in when they die is part of their estate.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Very interesting. And how long have you been assisting individuals with wills, planning, and estates?
Well, I've been practicing law since 1983, and I've been in private practice since 1987, which is about the time that I started handling people's estates and giving them advice about planning their estates, and then, of course, once they pass on, probating their wills.
Oh, wow. Very good. And how can a senior successfully create a will, and how long is the process?
Well, a senior should think about creating a will as early as possible. it's always a good idea, because we don't have a crystal ball, we don't know what life has in store for us. So it's always a good idea to try to plan your estate and have your will prepared when you're healthy and when you're able to put down what it is that you want and communicate what your wishes are. What I would suggest is that the senior consultant attorney who's experienced in this area of the law. Many attorneys say that they handle estates and elder law and estate planning, but because this area of law is in so much of a flux, it's important that they go to an attorney who's very well versed in this area of law and who keeps up on the changes in the law.
Yes, and that will be you.
Well, I hope so.
Based on my opinion, yes.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And why is it so important for a senior to have a will?
It's very important for a senior to have a will because, as we said, that's where they get to put down what their wishes are. And with very little exception, a person can leave his or her property to anyone.
Oh, wow.
If they don't have a will, however, they will not be able to choose who gets their property. And we call that the laws of intestacy. They will dictate who the property would pass down to. There's a hierarchy of people in relation to the decedent who would, by operation of law, be entitled to that person's property if they don't have a will. So it's very important to have a will so that what you want is going to be carried out.
Yes, I see that now that we're talking about it. I realize it's very important. Thank you. And if a senior is diagnosed with a mental disorder, how does it impact the involvement of family members or the whole planning process?
Well, one of the things about this area of law, estate planning, is that you're never too young to begin your estate planning. In fact, all adults, whether they're senior citizens or not, should start considering having some basic documents. And in order to make sure that they are able to have a valid will, which would require them to be mentally competent to enter into a will, of course the idea is to prepare when you have all of your faculties.
That's right.
Now, one of the things that is important in addition to a will in estate planning is a power of attorney. That is a document where a person gives another person, who we refer to as the agent, the ability to stand in the shoes of the principal, the person giving the authority. And it's very important that you have this in place, because a will take care of how to pass on your property once you die. But while you're alive, you could think of many situations where someone may have a serious accident or they may have a serious illness, and they're still alive, but they're unable to take care of their affairs. So the will doesn't come into play at that point in time. But they need an agent, a person who they trust, to step in and deal with the issues of life that they would be dealing with themselves. And this is where a power of attorney would be helpful. The power of attorney could allow the agent to handle everything that the principal would be able to handle, except for health-related decisions. And that's where we get into the healthcare proxy.
That's right,
Again, with a healthcare proxy, another tool that's very effective when a person is alive but unable to take care of their health-related affairs, they would designate an agent, someone who they trust. Many times it's a family member, a child, or a spouse, who, in the event that the individual is unable to communicate with their doctor or with the hospital personnel, this agent will be able to speak to the doctors and help in the care of their loved one. And again, this is a document that has to be executed when the person has the mental competency. So if a person has the power of attorney and the healthcare proxy in effect, and they then become mentally incompetent, it won't be a problem in taking care of their affairs, because the agent will be able to stand in the shoes and carry out whatever needs to be done.
Oh, wow. This makes a lot of sense, the way you're breaking it down and explaining it. It makes a lot of sense.
Many
Yes.
people really think that if they have a will, everything is complete. But that's just one component. The
That's
other
right.
documents are equally as important to
I
have.
see that now. Thank you.
You're
Thank you very much. And how does a senior know if they're making the right decision concerning legal representation?
Well, I would say that a senior should do his or her homework. I know they do.
They do.
I've met with many seniors, and they are very educated.
Yes,
They go to seminars. They take advantage of what's out there. They read the literature.
Yes.
They go online. They read about different attorneys and their abilities and their practices. And I would suggest that if a senior is going to do estate planning, they should consult with an attorney who is experienced in this area, because as I said a few moments ago, it's ever changing.
That's right.
So, you know, what may have been a few years ago may be completely different today. And so the seniors want to make sure that whatever attorney they select is up on the law.
And there's a lot of scams.
There are a lot of
people
scams.
say, I'm an attorney,
You know, and even aside from deliberate scams, there are just a lot of people who know maybe a little bit about this area of law, attorneys who know a little bit about the area, but, you know, sometimes a little knowledge could be dangerous.
That's
so
true.
it's important to consult with an attorney who is handling this type of law day in and day out.
Yeah, because it's very important. I see now that you're, you know, elaborating on it. It's very important.
Yes, definitely.
Yes. Thank you. And once a will is written, what are the procedures to make, like, any amendments? Like, once they write the will, do they go through a long procedure to make amendments?
Well, one thing that seniors should remember is that if they decide that they want to change their will, they can always do that. They're not bound to stick with their will at any time.
Some people think it's like carved in stone.
Exactly, and a lot of seniors are reluctant to do a will because they say, well, what if I change my mind? What if things happen in my life that change? And the answer is that they could always change their will. Now, when a person does a will, it's not just a matter of signing a piece of paper. A will has to be prepared and executed with what we call the formalities that the law requires. That's why sometimes people will say to me, oh, well, I can get a will online, or I can go to the stationery store,
and sign
whatever.
it and notarize.
Yes, and the thing of it is that it's not only about having the piece of paper. If it's not done properly, if you don't have the required number of witnesses, if the witnesses do not attest to the certain sequence of events that have to have occurred when a will is signed, then it's possible that the will would be invalid. And you know, the last thing that a senior would want would be that when they pass on, the document that they thought was going to take care of passing their assets to their loved ones is going to be thrown out of court, you know. So it's very important that they are advised to have the will done properly from the preparation through the execution. With regard to changes, if it's a simple change that a person wants, something called a codicil can be made. That's an amendment to a will. But it's, again, not the type of thing where they could just write on a piece of paper or cross out the will or something. No, a will cannot be marred. Staples cannot be removed from a will, because there's a presumption that if the will is tampered with in any way, the presumption is that the person meant to revoke the will. So the will has to be pristine. It has to be in a pure state. It can't have pages missing or things crossed out, or you know, it can't look like it's gone through any kind of revisions.